Here.
Scott Harrington?
Here.
Great. We are a three-person committee today, so we'll just get started. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes?
Good to meet.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
All right. By acclamation. 2022 financial report.
We can skip that one for the moment.
Oh, sure. Oh my gosh.
Here and there.
Okay. We can go in whatever order suits you, honestly. I'll just keep track.
Yeah, and we start with camper van.
Okay. I thought we were done talking about camper vans, but here we are.
Surprise. You want me to? This should be the last one. Obviously, this is a camera van upfitting bid award. We put out a bid. I think it's $26,500 to J&J Equipment to take the camera equipment, put it in, install it with some other, storage accessories, that sort of thing. Upfit the back of the van basically to be, functional as a camera van.
Okay.
So that's something we'll move forward with, and then you shouldn't have to hear about the camera van again.
Cool.
You said 26.5?
Other than when it's in service, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. 26.5?
26.5.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that? How long do you think that will take?
2 months-ish?
Okay.
Month,
That's
2
longer than
months.
I thought, but that's.
I don't know what their workload is.
Okay. Cool. I'm just very excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are too.
Okay. Do you want to move on to topic D?
We're gonna have to do a Facebook post, a video of this camera van in action.
Yeah.
Please.
2023 Transit Mix Concrete Bid Award. So this is not a total amount that we're awarding, it's a unit price bid, similar to our materials and supplies bid where we get unit prices for materials and things on. We do a separate one for concrete, because it's a little bit more specialized.
Okay.
Yeah, one bidder, right? It was just one. That's what I wasn't sure about. Otsego Ready Mix. We're recommending the award be made to them. Obviously, we've used them in the past. Prices are, concrete prices are much higher now than they were a year ago or 2 years ago. It's one of those materials that's really gone up, but this is the best price we can get by bidding. So this is for sidewalk and curb type
Catch
work.
basin, catch basins,
Okay.
Make our own catch
Global
basin,
fill.
Cool. Okay.
What's the price?
Class A concrete, $170 per yard. Class J, $190. Flowable fill, type 1, $150. Type 2, $122. There's a number of, it's kind of a calculation to score and determine the low bidder. Obviously, there's only one bidder in this case, but we also get prices on the minimum. We get a minimum delivery quantity, a short load charge if you were minimum, how much we define how much wait time is allowed. There's an overage for, because we're not ready for them to pour and they show up at scheduled time and it takes longer than 60 minutes at $3 a minute above that. Heated materials if you're pouring in cold weather, fiber reinforcement, super plasticizer, retarder, accelerator, a bunch of different prices that we have in there.
How do they compare to last year and to your expectations?
I don't have last year in front of me.
Okay.
Do you remember what we've been
Just
paying?
ballpark.
Just for the Class A side?
I'd say Otsego Ready Mix is on par with his bids in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Pretty cool. I mean, there's been slight increases, but
I mean, just from my recollection back when I was in Chris's role, maybe pre-COVID, it was probably more like 100 to 115. So now it's 170. I mean, it's gone up.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay, great. Should we jump back?
I apologize for being late.
No worries.
Did we want to do the 2022 report
Well,
tonight?
what I would like to do, if it's okay, just update the committee. Right now, this week we're involved in the audit. I don't quite have everything ready for presentation, but I think I may have it ready by Tuesday, and I could share it with the entire council.
Okay.
Because I would like to make sure that all the numbers are an organized presentation for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you that general water and sewer all had a surplus. And I just need to break it down between restricted and unrestricted. And then I'll be bringing recommendations after I look at all the numbers to see if there's a possibility of putting some stuff in reserves.
Cool.
And then also the forestry sales that we're having on the watershed property is going to basically pay the $370,000 loan back to the general fund for the Catella well repair. So that is a really good thing for us.
Cool.
And at the same time, those funds are being reserved for the community landscaping. The audit is going very well so far. But once I get all of the numbers finished, I'm hoping that by this weekend, by Tuesday, I'll get everything organized and get a report out to the council, to the entire council.
Cool. Okay.
And then as far as the 2022 budget transfers, I'm going to be preparing a report of what Greg has approved under his threshold. And we just have a couple that needs to go to council approval. One of them is for the police overtime. That was about a little over $31,000, if I remember the number correctly. The other one, I just want to explain to you because it's a little detailed. For the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project, we had funding with the EFC between grant and short-term and long-term financing. The short-term financing started in October of 2020. There's a requirement when you have short-term financing that a BAN payment be made to them at the 2-year mark. We hit the 2-year mark in October. The long-term financing was completed by the end of December. So we had to make a $124,000 payment on that, but because of the accounting for it, I have to book that into the sewer fund, but then I have to transfer the monies over to the capital project because that's where the monies were accounted for. So you're going to see a little bit of you're going to see 2 different budget adjustments. One is recording a BAN revenue and a BAN expenditure. And then you're going to see the transfer from the sewer fund over to the capital project fund. And it just has to do with cash flow of how the BAN works, and then it also has to do with how you have to report it in the operating fund versus the capital project fund.
Okay.
Okay? So I just wanted to kind of explain that one because it's unique.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Topic E.
Did you want to talk about that?
Yes, we need to create a capital project budget for our streets and sidewalk curb work that we're going to do this year. And I believe it's $110,000. And it's going to be funded through our state touring CHIPS revenues.
Okay.
So Chris and John have all the sidewalk work laid out as far as what they're going to do this year. And we just need to adopt the capital project in the budget for it.
Okay. Does that concrete bid? Yes?
Yeah, so the concrete bid is for the material which would be purchased for sidewalk curb replacement. We would also be hiring contractors to do the finishing work.
Okay.
Usually the way we do it is we'll prep,
We'll take the slab out or the curbing out, we'll get the elevation right, they'll bring their forms in, they'll set their forms, they'll pour the concrete, they strip the forms, and then we do restoration, topsoil, seeding, whatever is necessary.
And it's all ADA compliant, correct?
It has to be ADA compliance, so that's the first thing we're doing right now. We got quotes for doing ADA compliance for streets we did last year. And to get paid for CHIPS, we have to have ADA compliance on any street we do.
Okay. Cool. It's good to see how that all ties together. Thank you. Okay, so that'll be on Tuesdays.
Yes.
And do you know what the approximate budget will
It's
be?
about, I think it's about $110,000.
Okay.
That's what I recall.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, sorry, bear with me while I get my notes to make sense. Okay, topic F, the airport. Partial parallel taxiway project.
Ready, would you like to explain?
Not at all, but it's the public speaking part. Alright, so during previous master plan discussions, you've heard about a partial parallel taxiway on the opposite end of the airport that has not already been completed. If you've been up there, you'll see that one end of the runway already has it. This was the intention to install or construct one on the opposite end. This is a grant-funded project with a match to the city in an amount of about $200,000. And after conversation with Greg and with Ginny, we kind of like to hold off on this and not submit the application.
Okay.
There are so many infrastructure projects that need to happen. And this, yes, would have some safety impacts, but not to the extent that this is an immediate do.
Okay.
And this would be phase one of a two-phase, this parallel taxiway wouldn't be fully functional
Correct.
until the second phase is done, which basically it's about 50-50 the cost, so where we're talking a $200,000 city match, which is only 5% of the project, it's a big project. We have another $200,000 city match to complete the partial taxiway. That's $400,000 over the next 5 years or so, assuming we were to do the second phase that quickly. I think that would be the plan if we were able to
That
find
would be the plan. And also with the installation of this, the second half of this taxiway, we are losing access to 2 of our hangars. And our revenues that we are generating from hangar, from lease fees, from rentals, from other on-airport collected, we are finally back at pre-COVID numbers. In fact, last year we exceeded by a couple $100. So the reduction in income, I think there are other things we can do initially at a lesser cost with an impact.
Okay, cool. It's just not the right time.
It's not the right time. It's a great project. It will need to happen at some point, but I think this is not the right time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just given, like Carrie alluded to, our infrastructure needs, we have not contributed any money from our general fund operating budget to streets projects the last 2 years.
At least.
We've been getting by with just using the state funding that we get. It's just tough to argue or to justify in my mind, this sort of project right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'll never be silent.
Okay. Okay.
I just think we have, until we get things sorted out with parking garage, I'm glad we're holding it off on this for the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Me too. And I know that it's a water thing, but we have the loop up on Sun Crest
Yeah,
Terrace that we
that's
have to
it.
keep in mind.
Yeah.
And even though it's the water fund, it's still, expenses. So, yeah, I'm fine with it.
I know
Thank you
the-
for your recommendation.
Sure, and I know that the council at the last meeting discussed having sort of a special council meeting, it sounded like, sometime in our budget process this year to talk about what is our goal with the airport, what is our, strategy. So I think, we can revisit this and everything associated with the airport at that time.
Okay, that would be cool. Great. Okay. Ooh, airport, we're still on the airport. Consultants RFQ.
All airport, all the time. The agreement with our current airport engineer is expiring, and for no other reason than the fact that it is expiring, we're going to go back out for an RFQ, see what other services are potentially available to us.
Okay. Sounds good.
We've done about every 5 years, right?
Okay.
That's pretty consistent with what we do with most of our vendors, right? So normally it's like 5 years unless.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, another thing we did at one point with our auditors, I believe, was an RFQ or RFP about every 5 years, certain recurring contracts like that, where if you ask Dave Merzick, city attorney, we, typically should not be entering into lease agreements such as those, or contracts that are longer than 5 years, so I think it's, encourages competition and,
Yeah, I think that's great. Oh, yeah, Len?
We didn't officially talk about it at the last airport commission's meeting, but I'm gonna bring it up. We have a time period since we're gonna go back out for bid. We'll talk about it at the next airport commission meeting, but it might be in the best interest of the city to look at a 3 to 5 year contract rather than a 5-year contract.
Okay.
It just changes the customer service relations with the city and the consulting engineer.
business hours survey.
Do we happen to have anything we can share on screen or not? We had talked about this about a year ago, exploring possible changes to the hours that City Hall is open, whether it's open 5 days a week or 4 days, or maybe we're open a little bit earlier in the morning or a little bit later in the evening to try to possibly better accommodate what the public might desire. So that's something we're gonna be, when people come to the windows in City Hall, and we'll put it on our website as well and try to get some feedback from people who do interact physically at City Hall and kind of get some feedback as to what would work best for people. Maybe they'll say that what we do now, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, works best. But it's just something that we talked about doing, and now we're getting to do it.
Cool. Yeah, I was really excited to see that on the agenda. I think that's really proactive in terms of customer service. Just to touch in, So I'll be excited to see what people say.
I don't even know where it's kept.
We haven't sent this out for, issue just yet. Wanted to just show you. We did have, this is our draft right now. We could make some changes if we felt the need to, but this is kind of what we came up with.
So, is the goal of having it only 4 days per week to stay open longer on those 4 days, or just be open one fewer day?
To be determined. I wouldn't say there's like a certain goal right now. I think those are options. I think, I don't know, I can't speak for the public as to what they'll say, but I think that there probably is some value in some people's minds, depending on who they are and what they're coming here for, to be open earlier. And other people would be more value being open later. I don't know what people will feel, how people will feel about potentially not being open 5 days, but being open 4. And we're kind of offering an option where Friday would be the day that we would be open. We don't think that it would make any sense from a internal operational perspective to consider, being closed Wednesday or something, some other day other than Friday. But that's why we're doing the survey, to see what people think.
Yeah.
So this is going out to the public, or is this for internal?
The public.
So,
Okay.
hey Chris, how's it been working with the DPW wise? Because we're not doing, right, when we do the 4-day work weeks, they normally get Friday, Saturday, Sunday
So
off.
the streets department and the water sewer crew are 4 10s a week, and I think it's been working just fine. There is an on-call 1 additional day now. That person's paid, was it $1 an hour, James?
So we really haven't felt much impact public wise with you guys doing Monday through
So-
Thursday.
No?
Okay.
So hopefully I think it'll be the same way here. I don't think there'd be much of a, I don't see it as a public wise, speaking for myself. If I was thinking, hey, if I know you're open Monday through Thursday, I could be, okay, I know I gotta do it Monday through Thursday.
I think for me, like the addition of maybe 1 hour before work or 1 hour after work on those other days would be, for me, it'd be preferential, because I think often it's hard, right, if you work to get into another place that operates the same business hours. So I think if that was the goal, and again, that's just my personal preference, but I think the only thing is when I read that first question, it said like with the goal of serving you better, and then it said we're gonna be open less. So that's why I asked that question about like, is the idea to be open longer hours on those days? Cause it gives like kind of a double-sided impression, that first question specifically.
And I also think it's important to remind people that typically our city hall, the departments within here don't close for lunch. There's always a representative. Every time I've come in around lunchtime, I've been able to drop checks off to finance or, go to codes, they pick up stuff. And so I don't see where, because they don't close for lunch, where a lot of municipalities, when you go there, the offices are actually physically closed at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we already do, our city staff already goes above and beyond to make sure that they're accessible. And I just wanna make sure we kinda keep that in the forefront as well.
Mhm. Well, and thinking about not having Friday, like generally our meetings, which you all stay for, are Monday through Thursday.
Mhm.
So you're kind of already here. If we could keep the city hall open maybe for an extra hour, or at least include that in, well, I know it doesn't really count for you guys, but I guess sort of include that in your time. You know, so that there's a benefit toward the end of the week to that. That makes sense to me.
Only question I would have is, what would be the impact on code office? If any?
As far as, well, I mean,
Being
as
able
far
to
as the schedule that our employees would work, that is also to be determined, and you could go, that would be something we'd have to discuss.
That's
You
a
know,
good
we
point.
could still have employees here 5 days a week, and, you know, if we're adjusting the hours on those 4 days that we're open to the public to cover the window, you might still have that option, or you might adjust their schedule so they're not here on Friday, or maybe some are.
Maybe there's
Certainly,
some
you know,
overlap.
some administrators who are working much more than 40 hours would still be here on Fridays for the most part, but maybe not. I mean, having the option of having that 3-day weekend, I think, would be an attractive thing for employees, you know, as well.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of discussions still to be had, and this is kind of one of our first steps, is to get some public input
Yeah.
before we start talking about how would operationally really work.
I think the messaging is really important, just at this time that we're in right now. Making, or I think, we don't have a perception of the public to be that we're gonna be open less or less accessible in some way. Just with all the high profile things that we have going on, you know, I think, maybe you just said it, but having accessibility and the perception of accessibility, but having it be, and I think you said it here, having it be more about being more purposeful in our accessibility rather than this is what we've always done, this is where we are, you know? But I just wouldn't want people to think that, you know how it is.
And I think when we carry sort of down to the bottom of the remote question, obviously, there are services that currently are interacted in person that could be, or can be now, or could be in the future, developed to be done remotely.
Oh,
So we're asking that question, you know, some people would just, you know, I'd rather come in person and interact. Some people might say, yes, I would do that, so I think that's sort of changing with the times and trying to offer more remote interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that, like you said, changing the times. I know a lot of people like to pull stuff offline or pay online and not be bothered with things. But also, do you see any potential cost savings by going to 10 hours? I know they've done studies before where 10 hours can save because you don't have to have your buildings at maximum cooling because you're on that 3-day and lights wouldn't always be on and so you
Yeah,
s-
there might be added a cost analysis, you know, for this building specifically, but you know, naturally there would be lights on less. The heating, cooling off hours would still be, greater. Granted, you still have people, you may still have people here 5 days a week, it really depends, you know. Are you really shutting the building down and no one's here for those 3 days, or is it just, you know, it's not open for business on that? I think there would be some benefit, but I can't quantify it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting distinction to be made too, is that it's city hall being open and people working are two different things. So,
We have, obviously, we don't have a huge staff, we don't have a ton of redundancy, and when people have to juggle multiple roles throughout the day, they'll get up and answer the window, if, you know,
yeah.
look at like a Carrie's department, not the kind of clerk's office, but, you know, if Bonnie's not out of the office, Carrie's gotta get up and down and answer the window, and, you know, whereas if you have a little bit more time to focus on, whatever work might take a couple of hours of dedicated thought, that can help,
Oh, yeah.
so.
We did that, you know, when I was running a store, that the morning was like my time to like get stuff done, because then, you know, after that was, you're being dragged in a million different directions, so totally I can see the value in that. Well, I think this is great, and like I said, really proactive, and I'm interested to see you want feedback from us, or are you just, this is like FYI, we're gonna do this, and we'll let you know how it goes?
Either, I mean, if you have any feedback right now, if you wanna take a minute to read through it, we can, but,
No, that's okay, I mean,
or we
I
can
don't.
send it out. I don't know if we have any, you know, there's been some other emails since we drafted this, maybe there's a couple tweaks we might make to it, but otherwise, I think we can send it out in the next, either tomorrow or next week.
Pending approval, we have it scheduled to launch tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Oh.
Pending your,
Oh, you want us to approve it?
Well,
Alright,
not asking
We
any
don't- we
objection, I guess.
we don't want you to be against it.
okay, I am not against it personally.
Yeah, I'm fine
You
with it.
okay with that?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay, great, thanks.
We're gonna, I guess the last thing I'll add, we're gonna ask the folks who are actually at our windows interacting with people just to keep a tally of, for the next couple of weeks while we're doing the survey, how many people come in. So not everyone's gonna fill a survey out, they might not have time or interest in doing it. Just keep a tally so we'll know throughout the day what's the most common times people come in and what's the data that supports that. And report that back.
Excellent. Len?
Will this have an effect or an impact on the personnel department in Newa Park?
Right now, the survey's just focused on City Hall, but that's something we talked about a little bit with Joe, that maybe we'll use this as our test case as far as the survey and then, you know, talk about how the better building might be impacted.
What is the accessibility, public accessibility of that building now?
Time-wise, you mean?
Yeah,
8 to 4, it's the same,
it's the same.
same city hall currently.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Okay, does everyone feel good about that topic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One thing that I noticed on my agenda from last time that is not on the, and it was kind of a carryover thing, it's not on today, is the intermunicipal agreement for the 23-28 project. Has that had any progress?
I've been conversing with the city attorney on that,
Okay.
drafting that, so I'm hopeful that we'll have that on the agenda for Tuesday. I didn't put it back here because it wasn't really an update on it, so we're working on it.
Okay.
I think my notes, sorry, was
That's okay.
just to bring it to council when it's ready.
Oh, yeah, no, I just was curious about the status, so thank you. Okay, that would be great. Okay. Does anyone care to have any discussion on some of the revenue generation topics, ideas, where we go from here? Do you wanna table that for today? Does anyone have anything they wanna say?
I'm just trying to,
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
Scott.
kinda looking because we're getting closer to the other meeting, so,
Well, we got an hour.
so I didn't know how much time.
For me, because, I mean, this is a discussion we've had routinely in the last 10 years or so. And we've made some headway with some things. I think the biggest one was the ambulance fees that we're able to charge. For me now, the biggest thing is what do we do with parking? But of course, now everything kind of blew up with parking garage. But I'm still curious, like, what's the plan with parking? Are we gonna have paid parking, or are we gonna put this, hold off on this for now until we get the parking garage situation settled?
Okay.
So, revenue.
Yeah. I mean, I think that probably, an update of where the parking committee is and as how it relates to the parking garage, I think that's a decent
I wasn't trying to throw that at you, Greg, now to suddenly come up with a.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, and if we
that's-
plan on
that
talking
wasn't
about
my
it
fault.
later, we don't have to talk about it
Yeah.
now either.
I can talk briefly about it, that's
Sure.
fine. We haven't met in a little while, parking strategies task force, we've been kind of preoccupied with some other things related to parking. But we're gonna hopefully schedule another meeting in the next couple of weeks. I've been conversing with a company that I think it would be in our benefit to eventually maybe contract with them or someone like them to provide a package of services that would implement paid parking. That's where we're at now, is just figuring out how would we implement it, what it would look like, and then what are the costs, and developing something we can propose to the council. Not paid parking, but talking about parking, we met this morning with a number of people, talking about our communication strategy when we have people call and ask questions, what's going on now that we're, we're changing a few areas in the parking regulations and we're enforcing a little more strict. So I think we've got a good plan. We've got an updated map we're working on that we'll put out with a brochure that, kind of directs people where do you park if you're a downtown resident versus if you're a commuter or you're visiting. Try to direct people to the places. And then we're going to review every week with Reese, our parking enforcement officer, and police chief, where are we issuing the most tickets? Do we have a particular area that's problematic, and why do we think that is? And do we need to reach out to the tenants in that area or the businesses, and have a conversation with them about how we can direct them to where they should be at the wrong spot at the wrong time. Because the goal is not to raise revenue based on issuing parking tickets. It's just to, as we talked about, have people parking where it makes the most sense. Long-term parkers a little bit further away from Main Street and Westcott Lot, Wall Street Lot. Leave those areas open for shoppers and the people that are there for an hour or two. We're gonna paving markings contractors in town, so probably within the next week, if we have enough weather, I think we'll probably see all the markings downtown done. We're also doing the bike lane as an aside on Main Street. It's had almost faded entirely, or had. So that's what I got right now. Unless you have questions.
I don't have questions.
No, just the revenue generation it's a difficult topic. And there's things that we don't have in Oneonta that would make the topic easier. Like we don't have our own municipal garbage disposal. We don't have, like Fairport, New York has their own power plant, so that's a big boon for that community. So there may be something out there. I'm just not sure what it is right now, but for me, I'm still focused on the parking issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that right now. I haven't reached out to any yet.
Yeah, I agree. There are a couple of things that I'm kind of looking into that I'd like to bring forward at some point for maybe our next meeting, but not anything to say on the topic today. So, any additional discussion?
Sure, I got a couple of things real quick.
Okay.
So we talked a while ago about possibly getting extra cameras to do speed studies. I think
yeah.
they
Oh, that's
actually-
right.
And I was just wondering if we were looking at getting any extra one or two, or I think it's a worthwhile investment right now.
We did get a price on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Chief Woodsenberg had reached out. We haven't had a chance, Public Works and Police Department and I, to sit down and map out, a plan for that. But that's something that we can get back to and maybe bring to the next meeting if we're recommending buying more, and how that would be funded if that's what we're going to do. I think we just have to find the time, schedule the meeting, and move forward on it.
Okay. And then I just gotta, because I wrote this email the other day and I never heard anything back, and I'm just kind of wondering about our shuttle, our free shuttle that we're,
That's right. Oh, thanks, Scott. I didn't know.
how's it being funded, and
Sure. So we implemented that. Was it Monday? Monday. It's a trial. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's utilized. There's a lot of parking still available downtown, despite the garage not being open. It's not a real. We have not seen anyone not finding a parking spot and saying, "Well, I just can't find a parking spot. I'm going to move on." I haven't found that. I haven't heard a single case of that happening. There certainly are full lots, Wall Street and Westcott, right now. That will change with the enforcement of parking restrictions. And as far as the Damaski Field and Newell Park lots, I've counted between 0 and 5 cars parked there. A few times I've been out since the parking garage has been closed and offering that. I'll do some more counts now that the shuttle is going around. I didn't look today. Depot is doing some work on a Deed Street lot, or Damaski Field lot. We're considering chip sealing that so we can stripe it, make sure that the usage there is organized. As far as the shuttle and paying for it, we've talked about a few options. I mean, Ginny, I don't know if you want to talk a little about that.
Sure. As we discussed with the council, OPT is not able to legally give free rides to anyone. So we got DOT's permission that the general fund will pay OPT fund for anybody who rides the shuttle. David is keeping track of the stats. I have enough money in the finance budget, just because of the vacancies that I've had this year, to be able to reimburse OPT for any of the fares at 30 cents per fare. That makes, by paying for those passengers, we're able to collect STOA, so we collect 68 cents per fare on the STOA revenue, even though we're only paying 30 cents per fare. Also, we've got the CARES funding that we have not touched yet. We have over 1.1 million in the CARES, and the reason we haven't had to use it until this year is because we had the surplus that we were carrying since, I want to say, the past 5 years. And we did have losses the past few years since COVID, so that surplus has now been depleted, and so we'll be able to fund all of the OPT's operations through CARES.
So how many, you said it's been going since Monday, Greg?
Yeah, I don't have data. I know the first day there was one person.
Well, no,
I don't have data from the last couple of days, but I think it's going to take a little while and some advertising, like that brochure that I mentioned that shows different parking. We're also showing the shuttle route and where the stops are. Try to get it out there that it's available for people if they want to use it, and see what the demand is. See what the usage ends up being.
any plans on like signage or anything?
Yeah, we're installing some signs at each of the stops where they are. Even like, they're stopping at the current bus station on Main Street, Parkland Plaza. We'll still put a different sign there that says downtown shuttle, or exact language I'm not sure, but I know that Chris and Dave Hoteling were working on that with their guys today.
So will there be anything coming in front of council to be able to use these funds or transfer these funds to?
Well, for the trial, even if we just looked at this summer, the amount of the transfer is within what I can authorize as city administrator. The way I looked at it was, while it is a new service offering the new loop, the reason we're doing that is to provide parking that is now no longer here, it's now over here. So we're trying to accommodate, given the frankly, public outcry initially about what are we doing, everyone was really concerned, including the council and staff, about, are we gonna have an actual parking issue where there's not enough spaces downtown? We were reacting, trying to provide this other option. I think it's proving now that, maybe it's not gonna be that well utilized because it's not that, there's not that high of a demand, but I think we're gonna find out. And I think it's reasonable to give it a trial, give it a month or two, summer, see how it goes, and then decide if it's something we want to do permanently, or just to seasonally, or not at all.
Thanks. Chip?
Yep.
I have two follow-up questions that are related. The shuttle that we're using, well, I guess my broader question is, are all of our OPT buses like ADA compliant or like kneeling? Okay, so the shuttle is truly an accessible option for folks. Okay, that's great. And then also so you mentioned briefly chip sealing, is that what it's called? In Demaski Field. Where is the funding for that coming from?
Well, that's something we looked at a quote for that. We're looking at if we can fund that and how, and if it, to pull the trigger, make a decision to do it. I think really we want to be able to stripe the lot. We can't really do that and have those markings last if we don't first chip seal it.
Right.
While right now with 0 to 5 cars parking there, it's not a problem. In the winter, we don't have the garage as overflow parking for snow emergencies. Last couple of years maybe, at least last year, we had plowed off the Demaski lot. Some people did use that, not that many. We would definitely need to do that again this year to give those people an option. So I think having spaces striped and plowing it off, they can organize and we can fit a lot more. Chris, you want to jump into
We're also gonna have trailways down there, so they're gonna have buses going in and out constantly, people parking for that as well, so.
Yeah, we don't want people parking where that's going to block the bus.
Right.
If you paint the lines, they'll park within them for the most part, and then the operation of trailways isn't affected.
Okay.
And the goal is to keep the shuttle going in fall?
Well, I would say the goal is to see what the demand is for the shuttle and make a decision. I don't know if we'll keep it going or not. I think it would make sense during snow emergencies to have it going, like we tried that.
The reason I ask is the number of students I see walking with their luggage coming from campus, walking all the way downtown to get on the Trailways bus.
If we didn't have a shuttle going, the SUNY bus, which the SUNY route obviously goes up SUNY, comes down Market Street, goes up to Main Street to the bus hub
We'll
now,
adjust it.
would just swing in there and swing back out again, so we would accommodate it one way or the other.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right.
I think we have an estimate for chip seal around $15,000.
14,500 for chip seal, 2,225 for the painting,
For the entire lot?
the entire lot. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look and talk about, where that might be transferred from. Any objections from this committee to doing that, if that's what we decide we have the funding for, and I can make a transfer?
I have no objection to that.
We're kind of up against it, so I don't know how you really would object to that.
We can't do the lines, we need to do lines, we can't do lines until it's chip sealed. And this may be our new reality for a while.
I think it's a good investment into Massey Field as well. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's fine. Okay, do we have any other topics for discussion today? In this moment? Later,
Not
there will
right
be.
now.
No? Okay, great, then I would say we can adjourn. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
We do have an executive session copy.
oh, I'm sorry, okay, we're back in order.
Well, we didn't second it,
Okay.
so.
Good, oh, I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
You need a topic?
What's our topic?
To just discuss a matter leading to the, involving the employment of a particular individual.
Okay.